We're gonna use that.
A little bit about me.
I'm sorry. You're a liar. You didn't run Sony. Sony.
Oh God, I didn't do production at Sony. I sold things at Sony. Right, do you need to test whether that's...
I just want to know if the lighting...
If it looks good on the...
Yeah, because I can turn it down. You know what? That looks really stupid. Yeah, it is. It really does. Were you guys instead of first? They're bathroom. Yes. Over there.
If you get to a place like Maybe we'll just get the Hello, everyone. We're going to start in about 5 minutes. We're just going to wait for a few more to come in and a few more to sign on live. Can you hear me okay? No, we can't. Hello? Yeah, how are we going to create some more? No. We need the guy. Can we have a little more volume? A little more. Oh, he's got it. Hey, Dave.
Question. Can we record? Are we recording on here? Like permanently? I think that's smart. But I can do it.
Okay, where do I want to put that? That'll catch it? What's that?
Make people move.
Okay.
It's here. Tell everyone to hold it.
Yeah, you guys are going to be a little bit off. As long as you can do it, and then it'll give you time to switch. Should we, let's do it. Hello, everyone. Hello. Hi. Can I get your attention? I'm just going to turn the volume up. Let's do it. Should we get started? What's that? Who's that? Okay, everyone, thank you for coming out tonight and being here in person. And we also are live streaming as well. So to all our people that have tuned in online, I really appreciate it. My name is Orion Rogers. I'm a director and spokesperson with the Property Rights Association. I'll be moderating this town hall this evening, helping coordinate the speakers and the presentations that you'll see. Tonight, we're going to share information related to the new Short-Term Rental Accommodations Act. We will highlight some of the impact it's having on individuals and its unintended consequences. We'll also present ideas of solutions to help mitigate the impact to housing and ways to provide positive effects from STRs in our community. We formed this association because we strongly believe that if a government is going to develop new laws that affect any industry, it should thoroughly consult and collaborate with the public, municipalities, opposition parties, and professional bodies that regulate it. The consultation and collaboration is crucial to any idea of a healthy democracy, in my opinion, I'm sure in many others, if property rights, especially ones that are used for lawful purposes, are to be upheld. I want to remind everyone that this town hall was created or a place to share information and bring awareness and education. With that, we ask that we respect everyone who will be speaking tonight, the stories that they're going to tell, and information that's shared. If you have questions related to any of the information, we're going to have a question and answer period at the end of the last speaker. I appreciate your patience in listening until that moment arrives. So our first speaker is going to be Lee Cathcart, and he is going to speak on affordability. Were you not ready for that? So I dial right into you. You might have to hold on.
Yeah, so I'm just going to tell you when to change slides.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're good. Hello. Okay. Well, thank you for being here. My name is Lee Cathcart. I'm a director for the West Coast Property Rights Association of BC. I'm here today as someone deeply harmed by Section 36. I have a wife, 2 young children. I've called Victoria home for over 40 years. Counter to what's being portrayed, I'm not a wealthy individual. Rather, I'm a self-made small business person who was born, and I can say proudly raised in our community by a father who worked at the Naval Dockyards and a mother who worked at Sears. I'm someone of modest means, simply trying to provide for my family and secure their future. My hope all along has been that the City of Victoria will make amends and put in a formal request to the province to remove Section 36 from its legislation and to exclude Victoria's lawful non-conforming units. This will prevent a number of unintended consequences that will impact Victoria, its businesses, and its residents. We would also like to work with the City of Victoria to find better and more impactful solutions into housing in our community. Okay, yeah, you're good there, stay there. To start, let's take a journey through an inaccurate and unfortunate sequence of events. In July of 2023, the City of Victoria bylaw staff made a presentation that had a major effect. Such an effect that some of the presentation ended up as part of a provincial government briefing document. One of the cornerstones of the presentation was the use of the McGill Report. Next slide, please. The McGill Report has 2 basic, albeit major flaws. First, the study mixes correlation with causation and repeatedly states that short-term rentals cause long-term rental rate increases. The report does this without any mention of the impact of other factors such as increased immigration, higher interest rates, increased building costs, labor shortages, or really any other inflationary measures for that matter. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. No, sorry, back slide. There we go. Cool. Yeah, perfect. Oh, geez. It's real easy being up here. Thank you. Believe it or not, I've emceed a lot of weddings, but here we are. The McGill report was funded by the BC Hotel Association. So there's a vested interest from who the funding for the study came from. The BC Hotel Association would obviously benefit from the elimination of the competition. Additionally, the study was not independently peer-reviewed to ensure validity and quality of the publication. Basing public policy and legislation on a publication paid for by the Hotel Association is severely problematic. Next slide, please. Thirdly, the McGill reports, oh, you're one ahead of me.
It's Cynthia.
It's Cynthia, okay, yeah, good, cool, all right, thank you. Thirdly, the McGill reports ratio-based impacts were misapplied with further calculation errors that led to grossly exaggerated estimates on the effect that legal non-conforming units have on local long-term rental rates. Next slide, there we go. In summary, we have Victoria advocating for the removal of lawful non-conforming units based on biased and misapplied data. In turn, the Conference Board of Canada has published a report that found no meaningful increases in long-term rental rates can be attributed to short-term rentals. Next slide. Pivoting to affordability. What we also know is that Victoria needs to focus on the lack of affordable housing options. Forcing individually owned units into long-term rentals will not achieve this. The Victoria vacancy rate has actually been improving over the last 40 years and noticeably since legal short-term vacation rentals became popular. Our units are also not affordable housing options. Next slide. Using census data and CMHC data, we were able to calculate that to be considered affordable housing for the median Victorian, a rental unit should have a maximum rental rate of $1,688 per month. Next slide. By comparing the median price point for an affordable housing unit in Victoria to the median monthly cost of ownership of Victoria's legal non-conforming units, we can see that there is a significant gap between the cost of ownership and an affordable housing unit. Next slide. This should come as no surprise, as we also know that no city can create affordable housing using the most expensive real estate in the city, and legal short-term rental units are the most expensive units in all of Victoria. Next slide. This map here indicates where the legal non-conforming buildings are located, which lines up with the least affordable condo values in the city of Victoria. Next slide, please. This map here indicates where, it is also important to compare the number of and location of the legal non-conforming units to all short-term rentals that were taken from inside Airbnb data, which is a source the City of Victoria uses on June 29th, 2023. The legal non-conforming units are in the most expensive location, are less fit for affordable housing units, are located in the downtown and Old Town cores, are the tourist destination areas, are surrounded by local businesses, and are those operating with the most expensive business licenses. Next slide. To wrap things up here, I put together a little illustration of the stockings my family of four will be receiving this year. Ah! My stockings have disappeared. That's okay. Stocking number one, all of those question marks should say, and we're talking about the green one with the pink there, is the forced payment of GST. Forced GST payment for the change of use from short-term to long-term rental is estimated to be at $20,000 to $25,000 for me personally, and I don't have a choice over that. That's forced upon me and my family. Stocking number two, full of questions. This is a little bit more like prices, right? Stocking number two. Surprise, we are now a rental subsidy. So we are going to subsidize rentals, and this is not a minor subsidy. I calculate out personally that we will be out $35,248 in the first year based off of subsidizing rent and paying my GST. And from every month thereafter, I will be out $854.07 per month. That's my cost versus what I can actually rent it for, so I will be providing subsidized rent. Stocking number 3, with just a few question marks, is layoffs. In and amongst my family over the holidays, we're going to be deciding who in our family gets to call those that we employ to operate our short-term rental. So we will be calling cleaners, we'll be calling maintenance people, we'll be calling the management, and we'll be also talking to our bookkeeper about laying them off come the new year. And the 4th mystery one, with all the question marks there, is the realization that I now live in a city that people can't afford to visit. My friends and family cannot afford to come and stay in downtown Victoria. I compared July 8th to July 10th, a 2-night stay this summer in downtown Victoria. I chose the Magnolia Hotel just because it's central downtown. It's not the nicest or not nicest in town. And the bill I got on checkout was $1,262. My units for those 2 nights equated to $672. My unit also has the personal touches to it, a kitchen, and I always welcome families and children. I give them recommendations where the local best spots to go, where my wife would always go. And we would allow a pet if you want to come and stay with a pet. So that's a drastic change. So I don't know where my friends and family will come stay when they come to visit me. Next slide. Lastly, Victoria Council can also make a difference by instead approving more needed housing supply that is waiting on approvals. Such approvals could provide 10 times the amount of units compared to just eliminating our 634 licensed legal non-conforming units. This would provide drastically more purpose-built rental stock and avoid the devastation that Section 36 will cause to local Victoria businesses and their owners. I commissioned a report just to study how many units there are in the pipeline, and they were able to come up with 7,055 units that are currently in the pipeline, and that also doesn't include 750 to 1,000 units that Reliance is going to be proposing at the Capital Iron Lands. So instead of devastating our small community and our local businesses, we could be looking for solutions to approve what developers already want to build in our city. Next slide, please. Lastly, I end with a plea to the City of Victoria Council. As I said in my address the last time I was up here, is that we can work together. We can find solutions. We have some excellent experts in our group that can really make things better and come up with better solutions. So with that, thank you all for being here, and you ready?
Yeah. You get me again so quickly. This part I want. Talk about tourism impacts and something that I've been passionate about. So. All you know and all you see is all your life will ever be. A friend of mine I met traveling in my early 20s told me that, and it's a quote that stuck with me for half my life. We live our lives from experience to experience, creating memory after memory. The passion I've developed for travel and tourism is a culmination of experiences created in my life, experiences such as moments shared with family and friends, even some strangers, moments of watching breathtaking sunrises and time spent visiting amazingly diverse places. And through all those experiences, some of the most important aspects were the accommodations I stayed in during those cities and places that I visited. So what exactly are STRs and why do they matter? So, short-term rentals are an alternative accommodation to your stay. They provide guests with a more unique and personalized experience and far more personalized than a big commercial hotel chain. STRs are not only an accommodation though, they're also a complete travel experience in themselves. Whether you're traveling with a group of friends and celebrating a special event, a young family with a newborn that hasn't taken a trip yet, or a multi-generational family with parents coming to visit from overseas that you've been separated from for the last few years during COVID, STRs have been at the center of that experience. And the Hub in Victoria operate as personal travel concierges to the city. We create that human element for guests pre, during, and post-trip. We help them plan their days. We suggest the best beaches to view a sunset from. We know exactly where the best restaurant is to have your favorite breakfast. I vote Blue Fox Benny's, but I could be biased. We help our guests connect with the city, its businesses, and the people that also work in them. It's offering this experience that brings passion to our industry. Hosting guests from all over the world and providing them with an unforgettable experience creates memories they will treasure with their friends, their families for years to come. It's this exact personalized experience we offer our guests that has helped Victoria, BC be crowned the best place in the world to visit. Contrary to what has been portrayed lately, the majority of short-term rentals are individually owned and either operated by the owner or professionally managed by a small to medium local company. Either way the STR is hosted, it's still focused on offering a unique experience to guests while employing local staff and creating jobs in our communities. Not only do lawful short-term rental operators provide an experience to guests, they contribute to our demanding tourist economy. Victoria sees approximately 4 million tourists a year, with a population of only about 92,000. That's 1,000 tourists for every 23 residents. Those visitors staying in the downtown short-term rental units have contributed over $84 million in tourism revenue to this local economy. And that money is collected through community daily spending and local businesses and also taxation through the city. Slide. Oh, that took me a while. With a shortage of hotel rooms happening in the city, removing the legal downtown non-conforming units would then create losses in tourism spending upwards of over $700 million. Slide. With hotels, hotel projects not even started yet, we can guarantee those losses will start this summer. And every resident in the city and surrounding areas are directly affected by the revenue generated through tourism. Restaurants, seasonal shops, business owners, tourist operators, they all depend on seasonal revenue to arrive in the city each year. Recent studies show that travelers are divided on accommodations they want. Corporate businesses and their visitors, they like to utilize hotels. Families, small groups, and longer stays utilize short-term rentals. What's clear here is that people want choice in where they visit, choice in where they'll stay, and they want options that can suit their needs and enhance their travel experience. This enhanced travel experience is what brings them back to tell their stories to their friends and family back home and let them know that Victoria is the best place to visit in the world. That's it. Next is our impact stories, I believe. Who knows they're up? Steve Gordon. Steve Gordon, ladies and gentlemen. Just be careful there. You can put up his name if you want. Yeah. Oh, you came the most trickiest way. Trickiest way. You're almost through it. All speakers have to come this way now. That's the Thank you, Steve. I don't know if you want to just, do you want to put that in your hand? Is that okay? Can you hold on to that, or do you want to just?
No, just let Okay, so I'm going to start off with the fourth letter that I wrote to the minister, and here it is. Dear Honourable Ravi Kahlon, this is my fourth email to you, and I hope you get a chance to read it and maybe reply rather than a pre-written reply that I got from the previous 3 emails. I'm a 73-year-old retiree. I immigrated to Canada in 1987 from South Africa. My family were very involved in politics, fighting for the abolishment of apartheid, so much so that we were carefully watched by the security police, and it was very hard, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There came a time where we decided we have to get out. It was getting really tough on us and on the family. And we didn't emigrate, we actually escaped. And we came to Canada. Sadly, I found myself in a very similar scenario. My rights have been taken away from me. I worked very hard and saved for our retirement. Both of my children, my son we put through university, and he's a professor and a world authority in nanotechnology. And he held the Canadian Chair of Research. And my daughter was a professional tennis player until she got injured. But she did get a scholarship at an American university, and she studied communication. And today she works as a content creator for a very big TV station. And it really upsets me that I invested so much time into our money and time into our LNC STR and paid a premium. It was a very big chunk of our savings. And we intended it to supplement my income with investments in a government pension. I want you to know that I'm not a privileged inheritor of a whole fortune of money, and I'm not a greedy landlord. That seems to be the perception of the owners of STRs. But the reality is I'm a middle-class retiree that had a wonderful career in the film business. I also want you to know that I was able to bring a lot of American and European commercials into BC, and that brought a lot of money. My unit is small, 350 square feet, and it's a space in the Jenny, and so small that it would be impossible for a family or even a couple to live in that space for more than a month. No parking, but a beautiful location. I put so much love into it. My wife and I have decorated with photographs of mine that showcase BC, the nature, the landscapes, the seascapes, and wildlife. I've even produced a little booklet telling the guests of the activities that they should do whilst in Victoria. My photography has been featured in National Geographic and other publications, and I have work in galleries around the world. And then I ended off by saying, I hope you get to read my story, at least send me a reply. I don't want to hear you have an option, rent or sell. I've had those answers 3 times before. Sincerely, Steve Gordon. Now, I've got a second thing. So, I'm still quite involved with the film business, and I get a lot of requests. And it was kind of ironic that just a couple of weeks ago, one of the executive producers of the biggest production company in Canada contacted me, and he said, "Hey, Steve, I hope all is well. I've just bid a really nice job for the next year, very decent budget, around 1.2 million, of which a big chunk will be spent locally. Based upon the numbers, our client, agency, talent, production, and crew be close to 60 people. We'll bring the keys, those are the main people, from Vancouver, but hope to pick as many of the local crew as we can. Also, based on our initial scouting, there will not be enough hotel rooms in Victoria available to accommodate the crew after the client and agency and talent. Also, based on our budget, we can't afford hotel rooms for all the crews, as some of them are going to need to double up. Hence, I'm reaching out to you for your contacts at the local Airbnbs to look into the availability. On a side note, a lot of the crew, including the director, the DOP, the art director, they prefer the creatures of comforts of the Airbnb. And it is a long shoot. Thank you in advance for your help. Pete.
I'm looking to you, Alison. Next speaker, Thomas. Oh, Desiree. Hi, Desiree.
Good day, my name is Desiree Gorey. I've been working in the downtown core since 2019, providing cleaning services for short-term rentals. During this time, our company, Clean Slate, has grown to have over 60 clients and employ 15 to 20 people. Many of our employees are mothers, students, or newcomers to Canada who are learning English. Cleaning is one of the few jobs they can do, whether it be for flexibility or out of necessity, and we fully support our staff in their pursuit of higher education. Clean Slate rents an office space in the downtown core, as well as supports many local businesses. We use environmentally friendly cleaning products from a local supplier. We also stock the short-term rentals with local products from coffee to welcome gifts for the guests. In turn, we promote these local businesses and encourage our guests to visit the establishments. From the recent 2003 May long weekend to September long weekend, we cleaned over 2,000 checkups, which provided our employees over 6,300 hours. This represents the peak 4 months, and we are just one company out of many who provide this service. Sorry, I need to catch my breath.
No, you're doing amazing. Thank you.
During the summer, we invested in over $20,000 purchasing linens. We started a relationship with a local linen service provider who in turn hired additional employees to handle our increased workload. All of this done as an investment into our future as a company while continuing to provide exceptional service. The October announcement was a punch to the gut. All the planning for a future now unnecessary. Almost immediately, we started seeing the effects, and not just because we were heading into the slower season. Clients started to cancel their services, and bookings have slowed as travelers are unsure if the short-term rentals are operating. Unfortunately, this means we have reached out to our staff and telling them they need to find other sources of income. It's been difficult as they struggle to find other suitable employment, whether it's because of lower wages, scheduling flexibility, or language barriers. Appreciate your time.
Thomas Cowan.
Hi, everybody. My name is Thomas Cowan. I own a primary resident unit. I live in the 601 Herald building. I work away at sea 182 days a year. My argument is that my short-term rental is my affordable housing. When I'm away at sea, my place now with the new rules is going to be left empty when it could be providing housing to other travelers or other workers that are coming and going from the area. My carrying costs for my apartment are about $30,000 a year, $30,000 to $35,000 depending on what the strata fees are that year. If you divide that up by the 182 days I'm home, my nightly expenses are now around $190 a night to stay in my own home because I'm almost never there. I purchased and came to Victoria for the specific reason of the legally non-conforming rights to be able to rent my home when I was away at sea. And I know I'm not the only one in the community doing this. My argument is that the council and the province haven't thought about anyone else except for the 9-to-5s or the tourists. There are other people that are dependent on the flexibility of Airbnb throughout the province. Without it, the transient working force, people that work in camps, people that work at sea, you have travel contractors, film crews, you have refugees from areas like Kelowna that are affected by wildfires. They need the ability to go to somewhere else to call home if there is the need. Without short-term rentals, we're going to be at a loss of that. And I'm going to be losing my affordable housing. So thank you, Premier Nabi.
Angela Mason.
Hello. My name is Angela. I am a local business owner here in town. I'm a mother, and I'm a single SDR owner as of this June, actually. Good timing. In 2016, as a single mom of 4, I set out with an intention to transform an industry. Following my passion for tourism, my focus was on short-term rentals in Victoria's historic downtown. With my innovative spirit and holistic approach, my cleaning business allowed me to hire women, most of them single moms, paying more than just a living wage. Quickly, the cleaning business evolved, and I began hosting the properties we were cleaning. Fast forward 2.5 years. Hotels have front desks, short-term rentals have air lobby. This phrase encapsulates the spirit and vision behind what would soon become Air Lobby. Our journey began in the summer of 2019 when we identified a need in the short-term rental community, a centralized hub where Airbnb guests could seamlessly store luggage, collect keys, and receive personalized local tourism recommendations. We opened our doors on March 14th, 2020, only to be met with a mandated COVID closure just 4 days later. Devastated yet determined, our owners were keen to help in any way they could, opening up their units to traveling nurses and folks needing to quarantine. This allowed us to continue to be of service in the community until we could host short-term travelers to our beautiful city once again. Air Lobby has become part of the fabric of this community, welcoming thousands of guests each year and employing 30+ people as of this summer. With the passing of Bill 35, each one of these incredibly hardworking individuals will be out of work. With unemployment on the rise, they are concerned about what their future will look like in 2024. As of this week, we are now down to a grim 15 staff and are set to lay off 2 more full-time employees next week. These team members aren't just on payroll, they are family. Many of them have been with us for several years, weathering the storms of the pandemic, contributing to the resilience and growth of Air Lobby. As a small business owner, deeply rooted in the local community, the passing of Bill 35 has altered the fabric of our close-knit Air Lobby family and soon-to-be downtown community. Despite what the government and media wish for you to believe, neither myself or the owners that I represent are real estate moguls profiteering off the platforms of Airbnb. I am a resilient woman just marching through adversity to be an example to her family and community. With enough grit and tenacity, a dream can be real, that you can create a business of impact and leave this world better than you found it.
Cynthia, come on.
Oh no. This happens every time. Okay, I'll do this. Oh, you're crying too. You good though. Oh man. I'm an ugly crier. Oh, this is not gonna. Oh, thank you so much. That's so kind. This is very nerve-wracking. Hello, everyone. Hi. My name's Cynthia. You might have heard this story before, but it was read by an MLA, and I figured it was about time that I read my story as well. So, my name is Cynthia Warbick, and I'm in my early 30s, and my journey to acquiring my first condo in 2018 was long and challenging. At that time, I had the option to choose a more affordable condo priced around $300,000, but I had bigger aspirations. I attribute my aspirations to my family, who had operated a bed and breakfast for over 25 years. When my mother finally retired, platforms like Airbnb were just becoming bigger and bigger platforms, and they began to emerge and gain popularity. As a millennial with a fresh perspective, I began to explore unconventional possibilities, and through the beginning stages of looking at properties, I started learning more about Victoria's legal non-conforming buildings. As I continued to learn, it became increasingly evident that this path would not only allow me to carry on my family legacy, but also embark on my own entrepreneurial journey. Even though my family, who had endured the relentless demands of the tourism industry, initially struggled to comprehend my vision and pretty much attempted to discourage me from doing it, I remained steadfast in my conviction. I knew in my gut that this new innovative platform, coupled with technological advancements, would offer me a level of flexibility that unfortunately my family never had. And in the end, I was proven right. However, purchasing a condo in these buildings came at a premium, so roughly around $500,000, but it was a cost that I was more than willing to pay to acquire the zoning necessary to achieve my vision and my dream. Obtaining this property required a significant amount of self-sacrifice, forcing me to prioritize work over many social events, and for many, many years. I'd lost count of the nights when I would arrive home, well past 3 a.m., having been on my feet for over 10 plus hours between multiple jobs. Nevertheless, I persevered, and finally my determination and my hard work finally paid off. I was now a proud owner of my very first condo. Oh no. Okay, whoa. Didn't expect that to happen so early. Okay, so during the time of purchase, I was also in the middle of finishing my university degree. It was during this period that another idea struck me. Given that I had purchased a property in a transient zone building, I thought about the financial benefit of living 6 months at home with my mom and then 6 months renting it out during the peak season. It often made me feel somewhat like a nomad, shuffling back and forth and enduring the occasional, actually I should say a lot of ridicule from my peers for living at home in my late 20s. However, I saw it as an opportunity because this allowed me to pay for my mortgage while also completing my university degree with minimal debt. I felt a sense of pride in my accomplishments, and I could see that things were finally starting to pay off, or so I thought. The BC Short-Term Rental Act, or Bill 35, wipes out everything that I've worked so hard for. I continue to find myself on the verge of tears all the time and feelings of hopelessness. All I want to do is share my story. However, I have been hesitant because of how the media and the majority of the government has portrayed us, unfairly portrayed us. And despite the ugly descriptions, I am not a wealthy investor with an expansive real estate portfolio, nor am I someone who doesn't care about the housing crisis. What I am is a millennial, and this property is my only asset, an asset that took many years of self-discipline and self-sacrifice to acquire. I've never been deeply involved in Canadian politics, but these days it consumes my every thought. I've always loved my country, but now I find myself overwhelmed with sadness and frustration. STR owners in Victoria with grandfathered transient zoning in legal non-conforming buildings should not be punished for following the law. Many of us are local residents who are passionate about tourism and who are deeply committed to our city, as I exemplified by my own case being born and raised here. If I had known my property rights would have been taken away, I would have chosen a much more affordable condo to begin with, saved many tireless years, and avoided this predicament entirely. As you know, punishing those who follow the law and revoking the rights of those who have acted within the legal framework sets a very dangerous precedent. As it stands, many STR property owners may be forced to sell their units, as it is unlikely that the income from a long-term rental would come close to even covering their monthly costs. These premium zone condos are not a viable solution for affordable housing. The majority of us STR owners would need to rent upwards of $4,000 a month to cover costs. Rushing this legislation through with minimal consideration and a lack of consultation was careless. While the desire to address the issue of affordable housing is commendable, this particular solution is not the answer. I'm uncertain about my ability to recover from this financial setback. I'm also unsure if I want to continue to call Victoria, the city, that had held my heart and soul for the past 33 years, my home. It's disheartening that our city, in conjunction with our elected government, would allow us to become collateral damage of this devastating bill. Thanks for your time. Tells me every time. It's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you to the speakers that had the courage to stand up here and tell their story. I do think it's important that everyone hears that from individuals and business owners and people that are directly impacted by this. These are the unintended consequences that we're feeling. So one of our directors wasn't able to be here. He's working his day job and he's at the end of his year, but he did record us a slide deck and presentation. Brian Jacobson has been running all of the data for us, and him and a couple of others have been essentially our data team, scraping and pulling information from anywhere we have, provincial information, old city records, and putting it together to give us a strong argument and also presentation of information of how we could be better and how short-term rentals could help contribute to some sort of affordable housing initiatives, right? And, these things aren't set in stone, but the idea is to come up with ideas of, instead of banishing an industry, how can we look to utilize the revenue or taxation to make areas in the city better? Because at the end of the day, it is a business, it's an industry. It does need regulation, of course, but I think one of the most important things is that it's, if you have revenue coming in somewhere, how can you take portions of that and utilize it to create some sort of affordable housing initiative in some aspects? So I think I'm just going to turn the speaker on here for Brian. And then hopefully you can hear it. It is now. Oh, that's nice. Party speaker. There you go. Just.
Good evening, everyone.
Is it too loud? I don't know. Press what?
My name is Brian Jacobson. I'm a director here with the association.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brian Jacobson. I'm a director here.
Research, which plays into a lot of the presentations that you may have seen today. I just want to take a quick moment to thank everyone for making time in their evening to come out for the cause. While I had a work conflict today, I am certainly there in spirit, and
I am certainly there in spirit.
A little bit about me, I was born and raised in British Columbia, and like 80% of our owners here of short-term rentals in the Victoria area, I am just a single unit owner.
Like 80% of our owners here of short-term rentals in the Victoria area, I am just a single unit owner, which is in the Soho building at 848 Mason Street. And as you've gathered by me attending this session here remotely, I travel a lot for work. So a legal non-conforming short-term rental in the Victoria area was perfect for me. It allowed for me to have a place that I can call home while also offsetting some of the costs of my mortgage and so on and so forth. And like many others in the Victoria area, I'm facing significant hardship with the passing of Bill 35. One thing is clear: to maintain the fabric of our great city, we need homes for people. As citizens of Victoria, short-term rental owners too are extremely concerned about the affordability issues that face our city. But what if I told you that removing legal non-conforming units would actually hurt affordability, and that short-term rentals in the Victoria area have actually contributed meaningfully to projects which increase affordable housing stock? To understand this, let's start by looking at some targets that the City of Victoria has developed and presented in their 2022 Housing Strategy Annual Review. There's two targets the city has defined. First, the above moderate income target. This target focuses on individuals with a median household income of $85,000 or more, and the city has a goal of 1,000 units by 2025. As you can see by this infographic, as of the end of 2022, the city is already over-indexing here. The second area is affordable and below market income target. This focuses on individuals with a median household income of $55,000 or less, and the city has a goal of 2,100 units by 2025. As you can see, this type of housing is where the city is struggling most. As we've described in past presentations, Victoria has an affordability issue, not a vacancy issue. Through Section 36 of Bill 35, the City of Victoria and the province jointly have asked to remove legal non-conforming units from the Victoria area and pivot this housing stock to the long-term market. But even if all available legal non-conforming short-term rental units were returned to the long-term rental pool, would it help affordability? Unfortunately, no. Legal non-conforming short-term rental units are in fact some of the most expensive inventory in the downtown Victoria area. And should those units be returned to the long-term rental pool, they would fall into the above moderate housing category, a category that the city itself admits they are over-indexing on. So it should be clear by looking at this slide that A, the city is struggling to develop affordable housing, and that B, returning legal non-conforming short-term rental units will attribute stock to an area that the city is already over-indexing on, thus not making Victoria a more affordable place to live. So how does the City of Victoria fund affordable housing projects? Well, as I alluded to earlier, much of the funding to do so actually comes from short-term rental taxation. Let me explain. A few years back, the City of Victoria developed the Victoria Housing Reserve Fund, or VHRF for short. The VHRF provides capital grants to fund affordable renting housing developments in the city. But where do these funds come from? The largest contributor to the VHRF was through online platform MRDT contributions. I know, a lot of acronyms, but bear with me. MRDT stands for the Municipal Regional Destination Tax, which is a tax applied to all short-term rentals. The City of Victoria approved 2 applications in 2022 for a total of $572,000, which was funded by short-term rental MRDT contributions. Those projects then drove 88 net new affordable homes for the city at a cost of $6,506 per home. Not too shabby. So here's some examples of how the VHRF is using short-term rental taxes to fund affordable housing. Chown Place at 11 Chown Place was a $770,000 grant in 2023. That's designed to produce 77 units. Forest Heights at 2558 Quadra, a 5-story building that's designed to create 40 units. But the question is, if you remove the funding source, how do we build these projects moving forward? So let's assume for a moment that Victoria's legal non-conforming short-term rental units stay on the market. How can our contributions use to even further housing affordability projects? Well, in 2024, we estimate that legal non-conforming units would have contributed $2.8 million in municipal taxes. That assumes MRDT, which I assume you're getting used to that acronym now, as well as the short-term rental licensing fees. The short-term rental licensing fees would be at $2,500, and the assumption here is that with the new province rules coming in, policing short-term rentals would be less of a burden to the city and could go into things such as the VHRF to fund future affordable housing projects. So if we use that same math from 2022, in that $6,506, $2.8 million to contribute to this cause, we actually drive through short-term rental contributions 427 net new affordable homes every single year. So if we were to keep the legal non-conforming short-term rental units operating in Victoria, let's see how it impacts the city's affordability targets. Well, doing so would increase the city's attainment to their affordable housing target from 31% to 72%, while driving 427 units of net new affordable housing in both 2024 and 2025. Conversely, if legal non-conforming short-term rental units in Victoria are converted to long-term housing stock, it would simply over-index or perhaps even flood the above moderate income target category, driving this category to 175% of target and not increasing affordability for any citizens of Victoria. Okay, so let's recap what happens when legal non-conforming short-term rental units are removed from the Victoria market. A, there is simply no longer adequate funds in the VHRF to drive affordable housing projects. B, there will be a massive shortage in tourism accommodation for those who wish to visit our beautiful city. Destination Victoria estimates we will need 400 rooms by 2030. Combine that with the 634 legal non-conforming units coming off the market, there's a gap of over 1,000 units. The tourism revenue impact would therefore equate to roughly $736 million between now and 2030. So in summary, if legal non-conforming units remained, through tax contributions, our units could fund as much as 427 affordable homes per year while ensuring adequate tourism accommodation to prevent significant losses. And if legal non-conforming units conversely were removed, there would be adequate funding to support affordable housing projects, further exacerbating the affordability problem for the city. There would be significant losses in tourism, estimated at $736 million between now and 2030. Hopefully this presentation was helpful in understanding how short-term rental units in Victoria are part of a productive ecosystem
Brian's been working really hard on this. He's been, like I said, scraping as much as he possibly can, and we're trying to figure out where we could contribute and help out. You know, we're talking about 634 units, or just over 600 units in the downtown core, the ones that actually have, you know, people have property rights to. And so this is where we're trying to figure out how can we utilize that taxation and contribute back to the community. So I think we have one last one, and then we'll do some questions and answers and let everyone go enjoy the City of Lights after. Cynthia's got it here. Oh, that's me. Don't look at me. There's enough of me already. Yeah, if you haven't seen this already, Brendan presented here last week, and so he's got a great story. He was supposed to be here tonight to speak, but he's had some family stuff going on, so we thought we'd just put his presentation up for you to view.
Short term. About Victoria's best real estate, but you must be confusing us with the Hyatt and Hilton hotels. While short-term rentals are being shut down, these publicly traded hotel chains are simultaneously planning new builds on Broad and Government Street. Since BC passed Bill 35 only a couple months ago, they've seen a combined market cap increase of over $10 billion. Now, I don't blame the hotel industry for funding the McGill report or lobbying so long against short-term rentals. After all, we have what they don't: personality and kitchens. Legal non-conforming units, the 634 legal short-term rentals, are the primary alternative to hotel mega chains in our beautiful city. They provide the vibrance of heritage old town,
investors and speculators who take up Victoria's best real estate.
We are the craft beer.
But you must be confusing this with the Hyatt.
But this is about affordable housing.
While short-term rentals are being shut down, these publicly traded hotel chains are simultaneously planning new builds on Broad and Government Street. Since BC passed Bill 35 only a couple months ago, they've seen market cap increase over $10 billion. Now, I don't blame the hotel industry for funding the McGill report or lobbying so long against short-term rentals. After all, we have what they know: personality and kitchens. Legal non-conforming units, the 634 legal short-term rentals, are the primary alternative to hotel mega chains in our beautiful city. They provide the vibrancy of heritage old town and diversity of choice, both unique and local. We are the craft beer of short-term accommodation. But this is about affordable housing. The removal of legal non-conforming status is designed to force legal or long-term rental or sale of these condos. But let's be clear, these are suites in the downtown core, the least affordable part of the city. And even as pointed out by the city's own housing strategy, this type of housing isn't in short supply. Short-term accommodation doesn't need to be destroyed in the name of a housing crisis. In fact, short-term rentals have been funding housing affordability projects all along. Last year, over $1 million of MRDT from short-term rentals was given in support of affordable homes for individuals and families with on-site childcare, including transitional housing beds for women at risk of homelessness. In addition to MRDT, owners are willing to pay $2,500 per condo for a business permit. That's more than the Empress Hotel's entire business license. MRDT and business permit revenues combined would provide nearly $2.8 million to the city every single year.
In regards to presentations and speakers tonight, that's essentially what we have. Yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed that and it was informative. There's some new information on there, some new things that I even saw for the first time tonight as well. So I'm open, the floor is open for questions and answers, if anyone has any. Hands up, I see a hand up there real quick.
Yeah, hi.
Look at-
Just wondering, how many of us have family involved in running a short-term rental, and what they might learn from running a short-term rental, how they get involved, do they help clean it, do they help manage it in any way, do they do maintenance around the place?
And sorry, Peter, your question was how many people?
Yeah, I just wonder how many people that have short-term rental after family, your young family, or maybe even older family involved.
I think a show of hands there would, I see, most people have some sort of family member involved in some capacity. Yeah, I saw about 20 hands go up there pretty quickly, right? Tim, I saw you had a question there?
Do you mind if I come and speak to my question?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks. My name is Tim Thielman. I'm the Conservative Party of BC candidate here in Victoria, Beacon Hill. And I just wanted to firstly say that you're not to blame. You were the ones that played by the rules. You saved your money. You opened your home to guests. You paid the taxes that paid the politicians' salaries. And many of those salaries, I'm pretty sure, have gone to pay Airbnbs as well. So I just wanted to make sure you know that you are not to blame here, but you're being scapegoated. And it is important to remember, why is BC housing unaffordable? Was it the BC Liberals who spent years turning a blind eye, something I know something a little bit about, to Chinese money laundering going into our real estate markets? Wasn't it the BC NDP that doubled provincial debt in 6 years, flooding the housing market with printed money of the Bank of Canada? So the question I have is, are you going to let yourselves be scapegoated for a problem you didn't cause? I just really am so supportive of the work you guys are doing here. It seems to me like you need to be doing 3 things, and you're doing them already. You need to be organizing. Clearly you're doing that. You need to be speaking up. Clearly you're doing that as well. And you probably need to be lawyering up as well. Because the fact that government can go towards, can look at a group of people who have played by the rules and then pull the rug out from under you like this, doesn't seem right to me. I have a question from Amber Street if I can as well.
Yep.
And so that was my question for you. And I also have a question from Amber from Fairfield. Now, she actually runs a medium-term rental in her principal residence in her basement. Has for a long time, provides housing for nurses and film workers and seniors who are trying to move to this city or work here. And she's been caught by the legislation that somehow changed the definition of a short-term rental from 30 days, which is the global definition to our knowledge, to 90 days. Now, I'd like to know if anybody in this room can answer whether it's up to the city to restore that definition to 30 days and to preserve her medium-term rental, and maybe some of yours as well, or whether it's something that we'll need to take down this NDP government to do instead. Thank you.
I think, Tim, to answer your question on that, there is a bit of discrepancy between the provincial rules of 90-day and the City of Victoria's current rules of 30-day minimum. Then there's a bit of a misunderstanding there between who is going to enforce it and which rule is actually going to apply. So we've spoken with a couple of different groups. I've spoken with Airbnb Policy, and they are trying to analyze and understand the true difference in definitions and which one will apply in that sense. So we'll hopefully have some more information on that after the new year.
Just wanted to add to that for tax purposes, GST purposes, short-term rentals, anything under 30 days. Okay, 30 days. So what I'm saying is there's a lot of discrepancy in the definition. If you're doing short-term rentals under 30 days, then you have to start collecting GST for $2,000 and so on. So the rules you know, there's tax rules here, then there's local rules, and there's, you know, provincial rules, so much confusion.
Agreed, Rose. The confusion between what GST is going to be collected on and how that's going to apply between the 30 up to 90 is between 3 different levels of government is definitely something that I think all of us have questions of at this time. Ryan and I, one of the other directors, and a few directors in our discussions this morning, we're talking about bringing in an accountant professional towards in the new year to kind of discuss and go over that, host a webinar, and really look at the situation and get 2 professionals from the accounting side to give us clear direction on how that's going to work going to these new rules and also any sort of transfer over. Anybody else have any questions?
Ken Keller. I was just wondering, how can we support you guys, I guess, and what can we do beyond letter writing, which we've done in talking to friends and family, co-workers and cleaners and maintenance staff and everything else. So what else can we do to help support?
Honestly, I think at this time, continuing with pressure onto MLAs, municipal affairs, we've had some city councilors here today that are out here putting on these events, speaking about this, speaking from the heart. These are all the best ways to contribute. Yes, Alice? Oh, the question. I will on the next one. I think, does that help you out, Ken?
Yeah, I was curious if it's like is it a funded membership group? Is there a donation?
Correct, yeah. So we have opened up a funded membership group. The idea to that is to bring everyone in to help fund any sort of initiatives that we work on. Advocacy, the legal avenue path, which we're working towards at this moment, and any putting on events like this as well. So yeah, you can go online to propertyrightsbc.org, and there's more information about that on the website. Anyone else? Well, it's really quiet. I was expecting 100 questions coming on. Books being thrown and everything. So, sir.
This is more information. For instance, Chard is a big builder in the city right now. Chard, yeah, they're building most of the condos that we're seeing around the city. Correct. Well, they just applied to get a license.
Correct. We're aware of that, yes.
And they've been building these expensive condos now. And they're looking for approval to build their own hotel, which is just beyond belief.
Yeah.
I'm shocked when I was in the industry for years. And I can't believe that these guys are pulling this crap.
Yeah, I think the big thing to remember is that for years and years and years, we were all individual owners or individual property managers, and we didn't have any professional representation of an association, whereas the hotel had an association, the BCHA. So, creating this association, Property Rights, not only caters and expands to short-term rentals, but obviously anyone that's affected with, property rights removal or hindrance in any sort of capacity. So the fact is now we've created an association, it's representing short-term rental owners, and this is our main focus and fight at this point in time. Deborah? Hi, Deborah.
I just want to say I'm embarrassed and I'm shocked that the city council accepted, represented by the bylaw enforcement people who are basically a retired police officer and 2 coordinators who have undergraduate degrees. I have taught graduate level research courses. They are not qualified to present data and to be able to critically analyze it. And it was misleading, and the city council took that and ran it and went to the conference. And this is why we're here. And so why are our government leaders so uncritical, so whatever their bylaw committee or little group presents to them without really bringing in outside input? That's why this is so important. They tell stories and they're contributing. And I just think you've done a terrific job and really pivoted fast to get organized and get the stories out there because they make me cheer.
Oh, thank you, Deborah. Thank you. Yeah, I've been interviewed too many times by the news already.
Yeah, just in the Gill study, we know it's flawed, the data was not analyzed appropriately, and yet I don't think that we need to put our effort down to be analyzing that. We need to find back our stories and with trying to make our leaders realize that they need to be critical. together, sitting in council for hours and hours looking at, should we use mouse tape to catch mice? Like, seriously? I mean, I understand that is an issue, but like, this is an issue that involves so many people, that involves so much money. And they give it the same attention amount of time almost as some of these more minor things, quite honestly.
Yeah, I mean, just to stop it, yes, definitely. I think the point where we've come to now is coming up with solutions. That's all they really want to listen to. They do like to hear us talk about, the impact of stuff and the unintended consequences, but coming up with a real solution is actually going to make their ears perk up. That's why 2 councillors were sitting here this evening, because that's what they're interested in hearing. So I think if you're sitting at home and you're brainstorming, you're trying to think of ways, and you're talking to people, it's figuring out a way through this in a positive, collaborative way. So, yeah.
I have one question and also a comment is that I'm really disappointed with Airbnb and Verbo for not being with us. We have contributed so much money. So it's good that the council, they're trying to get their support, and I understand, but more related to the actual people we are working with is Airbnb. If Airbnb and Verbo doesn't sympathize with us, how do we expect the city and the government to sympathize? So I'm totally disappointed that, so as a lobby, we should first catch Airbnb and Verbo, whom we have directly paid so much money, and they are dictating like 15%. If we remove the Airbnb fees, we would be making a lot more cash flow, but we are restricted by them. So they are in no better way than the government. And I'm really disappointed that so we have been lobbied them, we have tried to reach them for the last 2 months, and they are just sitting behind the door. And that's the reason why the hotel industry is happy, because no matter how much we fight, unless we have Airbnb and Verbo behind us, there is no future. So even if this Bill 36 is removed, so what? We are again going back to Airbnb and Verbo, who don't have our back. Right. So why are we not lobbied them, and what have the answer come from them?
Yeah, the question was about why Airbnb hasn't been supportive. I personally have had numerous conversations with their policy team, Alex Howell. I haven't had a chance to talk with Nathan Rothman yet, but when I speak with them, they're a publicly traded company, and until they are in the same pathway as Airbnb and VRBO and all of the other OTAs, they're all working independently from each other. So to answer your question in short, they are working in the capacity that they can work in, which is not as supportive as we would all like, but they're trying to navigate this as much as they possibly can too, because their business is essentially on the line. But their business is, what's that?
They are no different from a politician.
No,
the whole thing. So really Airbnb is the one that we need to, because if you look at the Uber and taxi industry, for 2 years, city didn't allow Uber to come. Yeah. Why? Because the taxi industry was so powerful. And here, we are being dragged under our feet, and Airbnb still not made one statement to say that, yeah, we feel for, even if they couldn't do anything, they have not got one statement for us saying what our future is. So are the booking going to be honored after May 1st? They have no clarity of what if people were booked for October and July. Are we going to cancel it? Nothing, no direction, not even an email saying that, hey, you guys have been affected. It's almost like they are blind to us, So we have to make sure that no matter what the fate of this Bill 3536 is, we need to be able to go back to Airbnb as an association and tell them that we cannot be treated like this by them, No, all the more that they need to then do it, because if they are not, in 3 years' time, there won't be any Airbnb existing,
I agree, yeah.
Well, I think that's what they're worried about. That's what they're scared. If they take a position one way or the other, that their whole business can come down. So, you know, that's where the.
Yeah, and I'll pause you guys there. We have had discussions with Airbnb policy team as an association. When I say I mean we. So we'll probably get more information from them in the new year, but we have to remember that they're a publicly traded entity, and even just trying to get any information out of them, it's, you know, we tried to get data out of them from their side, and they're in a very hands-tied bureaucratic situation. So we're doing everything on our part, but we can't say that they're doing the best on theirs. So I saw one in the. Yeah, it's good. I see one hand way in the back. Yeah, excuse me, guys. The idea, yeah, so this is a conversation that I've had with them, is that at one point, there's going to be a data registry in the fall, if not maybe into 2025, and that is where your information as a short-term rental host will be registered with the platform and shared to the government. So that's the goal that's written out in the Short-Term Rental Accommodations Act. How much of information will be shared? I do not know that question or the answer to that, but that's when I read the act and when I talk to the bodies and powers that be, that is the idea.
I'd like to explore a little bit of the government and morally what they do to people. So all the lawyers involved coming from that perspective, but morally, they are hurting Victorians, they're hurting us, they're hurting business people.
Right.
Actually, it's a big deal.
Right. Yeah. I'll touch on that really lightly, is that the association is looking into avenues of legal recourse. And at this time, a legal opinion has not been developed yet. And when it is, we'll have more information on what route that it will go.
Did I have that mindset? Because with all my letters to the minister, I got, as I said, 3 replies. You have an option, sell or. Yeah. Now, that's not what I want to hear.
But you're lucky you got a reply.
No,
I didn't get a reply.
reply.
I didn't get a reply.
Yeah.
They're supposed to, morally and legally, they're supposed to answer our questions, and we're not getting that. So basically, nobody really knows which way we go.
Yeah, we've sent a formal letter from our association as well, and the letter that we received was essentially a press release with a Minister of Housing title at the top of it. So similar to you, Steve, a very kind of blanket letter saying, please sell or rent. So that's what I got in the front. Oh.
I imagine like this data is so supportive of all these claims that we are seeing here.
Thank you.
Do you think this data gets to the right people, to the desks, that people are able to change the actual policy? I imagine if somebody was sitting here that was on the opposing side that had the decision-making status, this would be a no-brainer. You know, if you look 5 years, 10 years down the way, not just like for this year, then it's so obvious. Do you think these statistics, the last video made by Brian
Jacobson, yeah.
I thought that was a out of the park hitter, like that's
Thank you.
Run.
Yeah.
So do you think those statistics that he's put together get to the right people?
So that one was just developed for tonight, and now it will get sent off. Yeah, it'll get sent to LAMPOM, it will get sent to the housing minister, it will continue out into the cabinets. We'll share it with Tim and opposition parties, because we do feel that the data should be shared, and it's not private, it's all public data. So.
And aside from the MLAs, because it seems like bugging them is really going out. And I'm not saying to stop bugging them, let's keep doing that, but like, is there somebody else that we could, you know, CC on the email? So
I think CCing the whole MLA list from all parties is the smartest thing that you can possibly do. At this point right now, we are just going to continue to put pressure on in every angle and every way we can, because the worst thing that we can do is be quiet, and then it all goes away, and then that's the end of it. So that's pretty much what I got for tonight. Allison?
No, I just want to say, if anybody has any contacts with the city staff, let us know.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to get this.
Yeah, if anyone has a relationship with anyone in city staff, anyone in any sort of levels of government, please send an email to info@propertyrightspc.org so we can collect that information and reach out to those people. Karen?
I just want to say one thing. I'm Karen Weiss. I've been working with the association in communications,
And I think it's really, really important that anybody who's got a stake in this needs to just spread the word as much as possible. I know a number of people have expressed an interest in getting out on the streets and talking to people in businesses. We have extra brochures here, so if you want to take a look at stock brochures and go and speak to everybody that is going to be affected by this in any way, particularly in tourism, they're over on the table, and if there's none left, come and see me and I will give you some more. So let's be the squeaky wheel. Yes.
And I'll be here. I'd love to speak with any of you that would like to get involved or hear more on how it can support you.
I just wanted to ask, because I dealt with Selena a lot through the city, and she was super helpful. We worked great together for 3 years.
Yeah.
She is like MIA. She won't answer her emails. She's got Emma answering. I'm wondering if there's any other. And she's gone.
I spoke to her right before the short-term rental 2024 application came out, and I actually kind of talked about this stuff without bombarding her, and we had a really nice discussion, but I do believe that Emma's been the point of contact in the last couple of weeks, for me at least as well. So.
She put our Strata manager onto somebody above her, but it was not so.
Okay. I'm gonna.
I don't know if the city's like removed her. Yeah.
I think that's all that I have for this evening. We have a couple. There's.
Just one more question.
Yeah, no, of course.
Other than letter writing, has your association had any formal communication or sit down with city councilmen or women or MLA?
We've sat with city council. Yeah.
And we're sitting with Grace Floor in about 48 hours.
How that conversation was with city council?
That's why they were here tonight. They're interested in solutions. Maybe we'll talk more about this, not on a microphone, but there's some of them that are interested in this and then some of them that aren't. And they, as we can see, and if anybody's watched the council whole meeting, they're doing their job, but they need the right information to make the right decision. That's my opinion.
It's also maybe important to know that we have constant
Bill 35. Do you know?
Well, I am a lawyer, but I don't want to give you legal advice on this topic.
So I don't mean to put you on the
No, that's all good.
The question that was just answered by Santa was that if Parksville is successful with an exemption from the province, would it set a precedent for Victoria or any other municipalities to go and ask for an exemption?
And you need to team up. You need to tell them if they're not going to listen to you, you're going to vote them out. And I'm sure that sounds self-serving, and it is, because I want you to vote for us. But I mean, what better choice do you have? You choose, right?
Yeah.
Ron, you're gonna be on the Czech News website?
I did an interview with Czech News today, and I think they aired it at 5, and then they're playing again at 6. So mostly talking about tourism and the impact there. Tourism piece is my passion project. So, I think we're gonna wrap it up. Does that sound good? I appreciate everybody for coming out this evening. This has been something incredibly difficult for all of us with our normal day jobs and our volunteers to create this and put this event on. So just you sitting here and listening to us means a lot to us as well. And everybody that's tuned in online as well. I think we had almost 200 viewers or something like that jumped on. So, you know, that just goes to show that if you think about how many short-term rentals there are in BC, you know, how many people we need to just keep pushing this message out and keep talking to. So the idea is this was all recorded this evening to continue sharing this all information and helping people educate along the way. So thank you so much.